guys, welcome to Living with Ulcerative Colitis. I'm Maya, and today we're doing a collaborative video with my mom. That's because today's video is eating after your ileostomy. And for some people that means a different thing, like depending on how your surgery went. I had a 3-part surgery, which means I had First I had my stoma attached to my side, and then nothing was attached to my rectum. And then my second part of the surgery, I had that part of the stoma attached to my rectum, and another part higher up back as my stoma. And then for my final surgery, everything came down, and we created the J pouch, and that was my 3-part surgery.
We created?
They created the J pouch, and that was my 3-part surgery. But for some people that could have been 2 parts, or it could have been all in one, and then you just skipped the ostomy altogether and went straight to the J pouch. Whatever the reason, I think it is very important to establish a baseline things to eat after you leave surgery. I would like to make a disclaimer. I am not a doctor, a nurse, a dietitian, an ostomy nurse, or any medical professional. I'm just someone that went through this the same as you did, or your family member did. And so I'm imparting what I learned so I can maybe help others. And for me, I had a lot of family support, and I had very supportive friends, and so anything that went like confusing, I had someone to like talk about it to. Okay guys, so what a baseline diet means to me, when I left surgery, we didn't know what I could eat. One of the ostomy nurse, she gave me this handy dandy booklet. It's printed, it's not an actual book. And in it tells you about eating with your ileostomy. If your doctor didn't give you this, you can find something that looks just like this on ostomy.org. And it basically tells you each food group, like vegetables, and then what's easier to digest and what's harder to digest. And many people realize that the stuff that is easier to digest causes less problems, and then the stuff that is harder to digest, because your digestive tract is now new, and it's the learning progress. For my mom, she realized that this book is pretty massive in terms of what you can and cannot eat. So we'd established foods that I could eat immediately, and she started with the brat diet, which was bananas, rice, apples, and
Why'd you
toast.
make that face when you said bananas?
I don't like bananas, guys. I hate bananas. And she added peanut butter and grits to that, because peanut butter, it helps thicken the output in your ostomy bag. And grits function the same as rice, I'm guessing. I don't know why she added grits, guys. And for the bananas, I don't like bananas, so my dad, my hero, bathed it in peanut butter, so I could get it down. And from there, we use the easier to digest foods, and we would slowly add them to the meal, or my mother would, and I would then have something new on my plate. I'm going to stretch this diet segment for several videos, so it's not all at once, but for some things foods would go over really well, and for sometimes it wouldn't. And so the ostomy nurse suggested that you keep a food diary, which this is what is this thing called?
Notepad.
This is just a notepad. But what she said was you would write the foods that you can eat and the food that caused a problem. And then you would personalize it to yourself, because although these booklets are really helpful. They're not personalized to a single person. They're personalized to an overall group. And for some people, you could eat, say, grapefruit, which says harder to digest. And for other people, if they ate bananas, that would make their stomach hurt. It's just what your ileostomy, what your J pouch, whatever yours is called, decided to do. So keeping a notepad, a booklet, a journal, a diary, a food diary of what you can and cannot eat helps in the long run, and you can start expanding your diet, because then by having a baseline, you know that it wasn't any of those foods because they never caused issue before. But say you ate grapes and your stomach starts hurting, then you know immediately it wasn't any of the other foods I ate, it was the grapes.
Just disclaimer, you might want to leave grapes alone.
Yeah, don't eat grapes. Apparently the skin, I don't know what it does, but don't eat grapes.
You can eat a fruit cocktail because the grapes are peeled.
Also, you can eat any you can eat synthetic grape jelly. You can eat grape I don't know how to explain this. Like grape Pedialyte. That's not real grape, so it goes down.
That's food.
You can eat any grape. You can eat any artificial grape tasting thing, but you can't eat real grapes.
Well, you couldn't.
I couldn't eat real grapes.
And after how many years you still haven't had grapes?
Yeah, I haven't had grapes since 2017. It's a little sad. I also found out that for me, I can eat applesauce, no problem, because the apples are cooked. But when I was given a full apple,
we didn't give you a full apple.
Like cutting pieces of the apple, my stomach, my ostomy bag went to complete liquid, and my stomach hurt for 3 days. And then we just deduced apples are just not for me. And from there, I was able to branch out and eat more and more foods. And now I have maybe 10 foods that I cannot eat, and that's like, for me, it's mustard, apples, grapes, mushrooms. And you will notice that some of these foods are listed also on the ostomy.org as stoma blockers, like things that you can eat and it will block the stoma. And I guess even though I have my J pouch and it's fully functional now, it still bothers the system. It doesn't digest properly.
Just a side note, we have not tried mushrooms yet.
Yeah, we haven't tried mushrooms.
We just haven't tried it.
Because it was listed like in bold, like, don't try that right now.
Yeah, it was.
And so I was like, you know what?
It's still a little risky, even after a couple of years, but.
Yeah, I had one instance where I made a mistake with the ostomy bag. I find that when you first start eating vegetables, regardless of what this little book says, you should cook it like a lot. Cook the fibrous vegetables a lot. It doesn't say this in the book, but I found that you can digest like broccoli, Brussels sprouts and stuff if you cook it like wilted, and then you start going backwards like from wilted. And I figured that was how I was able to get stuff down.
I'll explain it like this. So when we make broccoli or bok choy or Brussels sprouts or anything, we steam it down to where a toothpick might be able to go through hers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then from there you can go forward and see what happens. But for me, the one issue that I had with my ostomy, and the only time I ever ended up back in the hospital, was I ate like shaved raw carrots. And I still had my ostomy at the time. I was between my second and third surgery, so it was the second part of my surgery, and I ate the carrots raw, and they, along with a week of not being hydrated and a week of eating a lot of crackers without being hydrated, I kind of dried out my
And she was on campus.
I was on college campus. When I got there, my doctor was like, "You eat so much better when you are home." And I was like, "That's not fair." But they had to give me some medicine for it to process and leave. But I missed my entire homecoming. It was funny afterwards. During it, not so much. But that's the only time I ever had a stoma blockage. and then from that was I used it as a learning experience. Everything you learn about your stoma or your ileostomy or afterwards your J pouch, you just kind of store this information. I have notes about my body's digestive tract like literally everywhere, and I'll be like, I remember that from something I wrote over there, and it's helped me keep track. So that's it for today's video. I'm going to talk more about diet and different quirks and stuff that I learned in another video, but I wanted to get this one out because I feel like this is very important to know right after you get out of surgery, even if it's just like the ileostomy one or the J pouch one. It's just good to know. And it's not something that they really talk about on the ostomy.org. It's just like you just have this book and you figure it out. So I thought it would be helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment below or like the video. If you have a personal question and something you just want to ask me, you can send us an email through our Sustainably Chic Life email. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye guys.